Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to round 6 of the Division 2 Sprint Championship here in INL for Singaporean Grand Prix. Strap in, it's going to be a long one because I'm not alone here today. I'm with Matty, of course.
Yeah, hello everyone and welcome to another race. It's going to be a fantastic race, hopefully.
Absolutely. So just before we get going, who do you think is going to be one to watch in this Grand Prix here today?
Well, definitely, I'm guessing it's going to be Nuffle, Bessie and Sabino, the two championship contenders. Also, we have Stumpy, who won last week in his debut race, so these three, I think, is going to be the top guys to watch here.
Absolutely, three very competitive drivers. It is going to be a good one between them. I'm just going to quickly run down the championship order if I can find it. I'm trying to find. I think it's in the Division 2 chat or somewhere. Oh, here it is. Okay, so see if the page will load. So it's going to be Sabino leading the championship. He got third position in Italy last time out. Then he's 6 points behind him is BC, or should I call him Nuffle or BC?
It's up to you, and some people call him Bessie, some people call him Nuffle.
I'll say Nuffle because it's the first one. Then you can't count out Invisible as well. Even though he's quite a long way back, he can still put on a performance. He's had 3 podiums so far this season. He seems to have been plagued by bad luck with DNFs, and of course Stumpy making his debut race. He's on 25 points, so he's pretty much out of the championship fight with 2 races to go. But he can put on a performance. I think it's going to be a good one. Longest track on the calendar in terms of lap time. Not lap time, in terms of lap count. There's 31 laps around here. A lot of tyre degradation, so it's going to be a medium to hard strategy, one stop. You're not going to see the softs, are you, today?
Well, it depends if the safety comes out in the last lap, so we could see some people, but otherwise, yeah, don't use the soft tires. They are useless on this track.
Absolutely, they die out in just a couple of laps. We've got 19 runners in right now, so we should be looking to get underway very soon. It's just a 1 minute past 3. I'm going to read out the chat just to say hello to everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
That is right. Nuffle saying hello. Good luck in there today. You're going to fight for the championship, Nuffle. And then Reckless, yo, JD here, terrible illness. Oh my gosh. Killer Brent says world's best engineers entered the chat. Who are you with here today, Killer Brent? I'd like to know. The crew saying sup, and Sabino, the championship leader, saying hi. We'll get underway very soon, everyone. And we've actually just got word for drivers to ready up, so we're going to get underway very, very shortly for the qualifying session. It rained in qualifying in Tier 1, didn't it? You were driving in Division 1. Yeah, so what were the lap times around there like in the wet?
It was, well, 33 is the fastest, guys, but I expect D2 will, if it rains full wet as it was in D1, I expect it will do around the 56 times. I don't know really, but also it can race rain in the rain. And that could be a very, very tricky, because rain is in this track it's just not a thing you want to do, really.
No, it's challenging enough on its own. One of the trickiest circuits and one of the most enduring races to take part in. We're getting underway very shortly with short qualifying. What's the weather going to be like, I wonder? Brent saying that he's Nuffle's engineer. You've got this today. And then Luke is saying, or J Luke saying hello. How mate? Good luck in the race today. Here we are in qualifying, everyone. It looks like it is a dry session. We've just asked in the Discord for people to say whether it's dry or wet in the race so we can get a better idea of everything that's happening. You can already see people shifting onto the hard straight away. They are not going to put a lap in on the softs.
Definitely, yeah. They are very, very useless at this track.
We just received word from a couple of the drivers in the YouTube chat that is a dry race, so no one's going to go onto the softs at all then.
Alright.
So unless anyone actually does come out of the pits, we're seeing a couple drivers come out already. I think there's a Toro Rosso or a Mercedes out first. It is a Toro Rosso, the two Toro Rossos out first. So we're on board here with Xavier 2002. I hope I've said that right because there's multiple pronunciations. We might as well follow along with him on his outlap. He's setting a lap on the mediums, which is not really what you normally see early on. And actually Stumpy's not on the softs. It glitched out. Oh wait, it didn't glitch. I just didn't have it on the right setting. Yeah, no one's out on the softs at the moment.
Actually, Storm in P14, he's actually going out on the soft tires.
Oh no, that's a true strategy blunder, but it's gonna get him high up on the grid certainly. But it's not what you want to do. His race is gonna be completely ruined. It's gonna be a straight two-stop strategy. You cannot make the softs work on this track. It's so difficult to do.
Yeah, definitely. But he's known for doing soft tires on tracks where you should qualify mediums. I don't think he likes the medium tires because in every qualifier he's never using the medium tires. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he actually can end up.
Well, with the tires that he's on, you'd expect him to be high up. I think Xavier, who's the leading car, has just started his lap, so we'll follow along with him. He's coming into turn 1 and turn 2, going into 4th gear as a Haas, just getting out of the way. That's Philippe, who's on his out lap, so he's got a clear road ahead of him, but it looked like he stopped for me, but I think it's okay. Coming now into turn number 4 or 3. I've already lost count. I think it's turn 4, is now through the straight, one of the two DRS straights on this track, into the left-hander, 90 degrees left-hander. I'm already blundering my words, so I think I'll let you take the rest of the lap.
Alright, yeah, coming on to the very tricky corner here, and he coming on very tricky corner, this fast left right-hander, and then we got a left corner again. Here's coming down under the tunnel now, which is a section where you really can lose the car. Very hard braking, so in coming in here, you really have to go down a lower speeder, and then he comes on to the nice opportunity to overtake really if you want. There's a 1 minute 6.4. I expect we go lower on the times, coming out the end of the sector 2, starting to sector 3 now, coming to the a tricky corner again, very fast hander, and then we got the fast left right hander here, and then coming on to the under the tunnel again, where we got a little fast left right corner, very tricky one, and we have one again where we have the right left hander, so very tricky corners on this track. He coming out to the end of the track, and what is lap gonna turn be fast left hander. He's coming out at the end, and then he should be on for a lap, which is gonna be a 14.7.
Well, on the medium tyres, that's not really what you want to be setting. Meanwhile, the championship leader, Sabino, is going to complete his lap. He's derated on the ERS and he's going to cross the line, and he is 2.3 seconds faster on the hard tyres. So really, Xavier not off to a great start. There's an Alfa Romeo crossing on. That's DJ Williamson. He's 8/10 back from Sabino, and there's J Luke going a 10th clear of Sabino, the championship leader. So a Maverick on the medium tyres. That's what you want to be seeing on the mediums, as now laps are beginning to get completed. I think Calvin is the next across the line. He is going to go 4th fastest. I've got a sound glitch. I can't actually hear very well. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, that should work now. So 10 drivers have set a lap. Jordan has gone slowest of all in the Williams. Meanwhile, Ricciardo, TTV, has gone into third position. Good time from him. He's 4 tenths off, and oh, look at that, just under a tenth from Reckless there. So it's really getting competitive already on the hard tyres as well compared to Maverick's mediums. So he's looking to be setting the pace strong, is Reckless, in the early start part of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And just taking a look at Felipe, he's actually fastest in the middle sector, so it's going to be interesting where he can go up right now.
Well, he's coming through the third sector right now into this short series of corners where it's easy to run out wide and maybe hit the wall, or it's easy to cut across the left-hander there into the final corner pretty fast through here. 6th gear to cross the line. He is going to go 6th fastest. He might have lost it all in the third sector then. It didn't look too quick from Felipe, but he's still got 6th position so far, so that's pretty decent. I actually just want to say Storm ended up coming into the pit lane, so he's not feeling them soft tyres. We've got drivers beginning to pull into the pit lane, but I think J. Luke is starting on his second hard run down into turn 3 or 4, using the DRS and all the ERS he can through this short kink on the straight into the left-handed corner now. Good overtaking opportunity, especially after the DRS, but then here it's quite tricky and there's a lot of tumultuous right-angled corners. That's what I've been trying to say, but I guess it's not working. I'll say 90 degrees down at the short straight into where the former Singapore sling was, a corner that would easily catch out drivers coming up to the Anderson Bridge now. As Matty said before, it is very easy to lose the car and spin out through this short hairpin. You want to go into first gear, then short shift all the way up into 30, maybe even 4th. That's what Luke has done here, and we're going to cross the sector split line. He is only 2 100s up, so maybe he might want to think about backing off on this lap, especially since he's not got much ERS to play with. I think once you get down to about 20%, that's when ERS power is less. So he's really on the bubble here, but he could still improve and get ahead of Reckless and maybe Maverick, who's gone onto the softs in the pit lane. That's interesting from him.
He's actually going out of the soft tire. That's very interesting.
So, Luke comes into the pits despite using up all his ERS there. But yeah, Maverick, I'm really not sure what he's doing here.
And DJ Wilson moving on to P7 now. So we're seeing the field is very, very close at the moment. P3 to P8 is only separated by 3 tenths. So
absolutely, as you told me before the stream starts, it's a very competitive division. Is Division 2. Luke saying that he bottled sector 2 and he lost 3 tenths. Unlucky. You've still got a lot of time, still got half of the session. We've just gone under 10 minutes, so plenty of time for drivers to set laps, and we're seeing people fitting on the mediums. Reckless, who's in second, his teammate actually out of nowhere, didn't think we caught that, he went into 3rd position. So he's almost 3.5 tenths off of Maverick, who is on the softs. It's going to be interesting to see what lap he's going to do.
yeah, and I think Stompy is the next guy to cross the line. The winner from last week. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do now.
Well, he's going to come through the final 2 corners to cross the line. What's he going to do? Is he going to go provisional pole? Yes! Wow.
That's a good lap. That's an amazing lap.
And Paul also following suit. He's close behind Stumpy. Don't count him out in the Alfa Romeo, but 2 incredibly quick times as well. 4 tenths clear of Maverick, who set his time on the mediums. Just to point that out, he's going for his lap on the softs, but he's actually backed off of this one because he's not using any ERS.
Yeah, well, that was a very, very good lap by Stumpy.
I think the next driver to cross the line is going to be Bosnia. Doesn't look like he's too strong through the second sector, but nevertheless he's going to cross the line. What's he going to do? Only 14th position. He's 2/10 off the 2 seconds off of Stumpy. So the Red Bull's pretty far apart on track right now.
Oh, Calvin hits the barrier just end of the last corner here, but how much time will he lose in that? Still goes P5 though, but he still has a lot of time he gained at the last sector.
Absolutely, hitting the wall there would have hampered his last 2 corners and also really killed his momentum, so he could have maybe lost a couple of tenths in that. And that was on the hards as well, so a pretty decent time considering he smacked into the wall. But we'll move on from him as I think Max in the Ferrari has just gone 14th fastest. The 2 Ferraris not too strong right now. They're separated by 5/10 of a second, so they're the back 4, no, the back 3 aren't back 4 actually aren't looking too strong. They're going to want to improve on that time sooner rather than later, as actually Jordan is on a lap right.
Yeah, however, Mike just losing it out of this last corner here.
We'll try and catch the view of his car from, I think, J. Luke, if it's still there. Yeah, you can see the stricken racing point at the side of the road. His qualifying's over. He's not going to start in the top 10, which means he will get a fresh set of tyres, so it's not all heartbreak for Mike, but it is a very difficult track to overtake on. Not many overtaking opportunities around here, so it's going to be a tough one for him throughout this race, as Jordan has just improved on his lap. He's only managed to get up to 16th though. He's overtaken Xavier, who is still on the pits, but he's fitted the softs, which is also going to be interesting to see whether he goes out on those.
Yeah, Reckless now coming out to the line. He's actually on the medium tires, so he's 35.9, which is actually a good lap time.
That is a very strong lap time from Reckless. I would have compared these to Division 1 times, but of course it was a fully wet qualifying, so I can't really take a look at their times. But wow, 1.5 seconds clear of Stumpy, who did put his lap in on the hard tires, so he's definitely got a lot of room to improve on that. We're coming up to 5 minutes to go. Drivers are going to want to start thinking about putting on the medium tyres and going for their final runs, as we'll follow along with, I think, Invisible, yeah. And that's P10 for him. He derated at the line, so if he can get back quick enough, but I actually don't think he can get back to the pits quick enough to put in an faster lap. I think Luke is going to start on a new one now, so he obviously messed up on his. And it's Ricciardo TTV, who is 1.3 seconds up on his time, coming through the final 2 corners. He's going to cross the line. He can get in the top 5 here. What's he going to do? He's going to go second fastest, 2/10 back from Reckless, and it's probably his last lap. So P2 for Ricciardo. Reckless still untouched after his 35.9.
Yeah, and the gap between hard tires and mediums is very, very big. You're like over 2 seconds maybe from some people, so you really don't want to mess up your medium tires. So that's why we see so many people going out early just to set more laps, so they're comfortable having a medium lap time.
Absolutely, you really do want to get a feel for this track, as I actually don't think we covered on this, but Philippe N went into 3rd position under our noses really, so starting on the 2nd row from him, just behind Ricciardo and Reckless by 8/10 though. The gap really has increased between 2nd and 3rd. I think Storm is on a lap. He's not putting one. He's the only driver. He's actually coming to the pits. I don't think he can. He might be able to get out in time, but it will definitely be on the wire for him.
I think Jay Luke is on a lap, so he's gonna finish his medium times. It's gonna be close to pole, and he goes pole.
Wow.
Just wow.
By 1/100th of a second, 15 thousandths, that's 15 milliseconds. So the gaps are really, they are minuscule in F1, and that's what I love about it, that the slightest mistake that costs you the slightest amount of time could be the difference between pole position and second position. So really strong from J Luke, but Reckless can maybe get another lap in there. Ricciardo is not going to put in another lap. He's retired, I think, in the pit lane. I believe so, as Max gonna have to settle for 15th at the very best. Drivers are gonna stop, they're giving up already. I think Maverick, look at Maverick, he's on the soft tyres. What is he doing?
I don't know about the moment, but will he set the lap time under? So it's gonna be interesting if he will.
Well, a lot of the drivers behind him, actually pretty much everyone behind him, hasn't put in a medium lap yet. So despite being P8 right now, it's not looking too strong for him if he keeps on that medium tyre that he's pretty much 2 seconds behind J Luke on. So he's going to have to put on the softs if he wants to have track position, which can be crucial, but he's going to lose an entire pit stop throughout this race. So it's really not looking too strong for Maverick right now. Even if he messes up on this lap, he's going to be way down the order, and he's only 0.08 of a second up on his previous time.
I think Stumpy is now coming over the line. Let's see what he can do on his flying lap time. He did a very impressive hard time, so will he press on his medium times? He will, because that's what he won.
That is the second, I think the third driver to go into the 1 minute 35s. One of three, Reckless and Luke being the other two. So these three really setting the pace. Sabino, the championship leader though, sitting all the way down in 10th, and his championship rival, Nuffle, not doing too hot right now. He's actually crossed the line. He is in 8th position, 1.4 back.
Yeah, that's not normal for Nuffle. We don't see him often being that far down in the order. So it's very interesting to see what's going on with D2s with him today.
Could be detrimental for his championship hunt, as there's only 2 races left to go in the season. He really wants to get big performances against Sabino, who is on a lap right now. He's coming through the first sector, so we'll make sure to keep an eye on him, as now we have we've completed qualifying, as drivers are not allowed to start another new lap. Reckless, Philippe and Maverick. So Maverick didn't look to put the lap in on the softs. I think he's just opted to go onto the mediums for the race, so he's gonna probably start way down the order. I'm trying to find someone who's close to the end of a lap. I think Bosnia might be. Oh, I've just gone on someone's profile.
No, J Luke is not on lap.
J Luke.
I think Calvin is on a lap time. Yeah, Calvin's on a lap time. Coming down the last 2 corners.
This is where he hit the wall, but he seems to have avoided it this time. What's he going to set? He's going to go 4th fastest, 1.5 tenths just under behind Stumpy. So good time from him. The 2 Renaults, actually Maverick is the other Renault, and he's not done too well in this session. The man in 3rd place in the championship, Invisible.
Yeah,
oh!
Position, I just saw that coming. Sabino also crossing the line. Oh, only goes 7th, but Paulus, yeah, good lap timer.
I just missed that one, but he's 2 tenths ahead of Stumpy, who won the last race out in Italy. Very strong from him. I think Invisible is the next one to cross the line, and yeah, I actually just missed the end of his lap there. He goes 8th fastest, and that is the end of qualifying here in Singapore. We're going to get underway for the 31 lap race very shortly. We'll just have a quick rundown of the of the qualifying session once we see the results. So, on pole position, the Dutchman Paulus starting in first position with a 1:35.6. Stumpy, who won last race, starting in second. Then it's Luke in third. Fourth for Reckless. Fifth for Calvin. Then it's Ricciardo TTV in sixth. Sabino, the championship leader, is in seventh. And then Invisible, who's in third in the championship, is in eighth. Those two close together. Then Philippe in ninth. Rounding out the top 10 is Storm. Kieran starting in 11th, 12th for Bosnia, and Nuffle BC, who's in second in the championship. He's behind by 6 points. He is really... He's not in the best position coming to this race, is he?
He definitely is not. I'm surprised that Sabino and both Nuffle and Sabino are way down to the field. Nuffle really has to fight his way back if he wants the challenge for the championship.
Absolutely, this could maybe be the race that it's all decided at. I'm not too sure how many points each driver needs. I know that it's 6 points between them, so I guess it's pretty tough actually to do the maths on the spot. But we are just getting ready for the formation lap. Drivers are putting on their strategies and adjusting their fuel load, and whilst they're doing that, I'm going to ask you, who do you think the podium finishers are going to be?
Yeah, I'm guessing the Paulus. I think he will surprise today and win. I think Reckless will end up in second, and then I'm saying a surprise one, J. Luke will end up in third.
So Stumpy not finishing on the podium from your point of view. I'm going to go with Reckless to win the race. Then in second I'll go with Stumpy, and third I'll put Ricciardo TTV, just as a little wild card to throw in there.
Yeah, I know his pace, Ricciardo. He's very fast. It's gonna be interesting how he will do the race.
Well, just quickly, we're going to run through the remaining 6 drivers that we couldn't get through in the quali rundown. It's Maverick starting in 14th, 15th for Mike, then it is 6th for DJ Williamson. Jordan is in 17th. Max in 18th and 19th for Xavier. I think I said 6th for DJ Williamson. He's in 16th. I've not done commentary in a couple of... Well, I haven't done it in about a week, so maybe I'm a little bit rusty. I do apologise, but hopefully I'll get more into it once the new game comes out and I won't make such stupid mistakes.
Well, it's fine. You're not doing... Well, right now you're not doing any big mistakes. So.
Yeah. Right now, Paulus just leading the field. He's controlling the pace through the third sector now. This is one of the most tricky parts on the track, one of the narrowest parts on the track, especially through this next left-hander. You can see it's really a one-car corner. You're not running too wide through there unless you want to be in the wall. There's a little bit of a gap forming between Sabino and Ricciardo, so maybe the top 6 not going to be on the freshest of tyres, warmest of tyres, because they're going to have to sit on the grid just for a little bit longer whilst the rest of the grid finish their formation lap. So, as the grid is now formed up, we are going to get underway very shortly. We're waiting for the lights to come on here. It is Paulus on the left of your screen, Stumpy on the right. We've got 4, we've got 5 red lights, And we are go. Who has got the better getaway out of the top two drivers? I think it is Paulus coming into turn number 1 now. Oh, they're 3 wide.
There's
And oh
contact round,
no.
and Ricardo.
Oh, that's a shame for both of them. They're both around, but we'll move on from that just for the time being. See if there's any battles forming throughout the field. I think Nuffle making up a couple positions off the start already. He's up into 10th. Sabino up into 5th. That's good from him, but so Ricciardo and Reckless out of the race
And
pretty early.
Mike is also around. Albert Mike is also around. I don't know what happened if he just lost it out. There was contact.
Not a good start from those 3 drivers. They're pretty long way back from everyone else on the grid right now, but it's Paulus leading from Stumpy, leading from J. Luke in 3rd. That is the top 3. Calvin finds himself in 4th. We're actually just going to have a look at who the biggest movers throughout the field were. Most drivers making up 2 positions from Ricardo and Reckless going off, and then Nuffle has made up 3 positions up into the top 10. Pretty clean start other than that incident which I think was caused by Reckless going up the inside and making it 3 wide into the first corner.
That's not a thing you can do that. I'm like surprised that you can go side by side into it, but 3 wide is definitely not a thing you want to do.
Absolutely, I think Mike has gone around again. Yeah, he's chipped off his entire front wing, so that is going to be an early pit stop for the Racing Point driver. I think he's... oh wait, no, he does have a teammate. Storm is his teammate, who's also made up 2 positions. Is now they've completed the first of 31 laps. It's going to be a long one, so strap in, get comfortable, maybe grab some popcorn, because we are going to be here for about an hour and a half watching this race. I think, no, not an hour and a half, about probably an hour, I'd say.
Well, I think the one took 1 hour and 50 minutes but there was no safety car though in that race.
Sorry to just butt in a little bit there, but DJ Williamson's gone around. I just caught that. I think he tried going up the inside of Nuffle, and there was no room at the end. He got spun around. It was a rear tyre contact from Nuffle, and then he hit the front of DJ Williamson's car. It's unfortunate. I think Nuffle might have had an incident out of turn at number 3 because he's dropped a couple of positions. He's lost out to Bosnia and Maverick, so not a good start from him. He's now dropped back to where he started. Ricciardo making his way back up the order. He's already found himself in 14th position. He is seeking vengeance. He wants those points. He's up into 14th already right now.
When DJ Williamson just hitting the wall thingy, yeah, he got a lot of damage now. Nuffle and Maverick side by side into the corner. Pedri corner goes side by side. Nuffle around the outside. Great move by Nuffle.
Moving himself up into 11th. He's one of the championship contenders, and Sabino just has to score. I think he just has to get as many points as he can as Stumpy puts in the fastest lap, so he's hunting down Paulus in the lead right now. As we come on to lap number 3, DRS has been enabled. You can activate that once you are within 1 second of the car ahead, which is Stumpy certainly is. I think he might be a little bit too far back to make a move into the 90-degree corner left-hander coming up shortly, but he's gonna get a lot closer to the Alfa Romeo driver. He's right on the rear of him there.
Yeah, and Sabino is actually trying to go around the outside of Calvin, but Calvin defends the position, and
they find themselves in a podium fight with J. Luke right now. He's just gotten a little bit away from Calvin, so it's Luke from Calvin from Sabino. That is the fight for P3, and Invisible's also in that fray. He's sitting in 3rd in the championship, but he is out of the championship hunt. Actually, I think he still can win the championship, but he will be eliminated if Sabino scores the amount of points if he scores at all, I think, to be honest.
And one thing I just found out, DJ Williamson actually didn't pit, even though he's completely lost his front wing. He decided to keep on. I think that's a big mistake. He's gonna lose a lot of time on this.
He's trying to make the one-stop work. He started on the hard tyres, so he can't put them on and go all the way to the end. Not that they really can, I don't think. So yeah, I think he would be forced onto a two-stop, and he's just probably going to stay out until it is time to pit. Then he's going to change his wing. But if he doesn't change it at all, it's really a huge strategy blunder, as Stumpy's actually dropped out the second. He's still got DRS on Paulus up ahead, so he's lucky to get that there, as with the assistance of the drag reduction system, he's not going to get close enough. Paulus beginning to get away from him slightly, isn't he?
He definitely is, actually. He's beginning to make the gap. Sabino now going side by side with Calvin. I think Sabino got side by side, tricky corner to go side by side, but fair enough, they managed to do it. They're still side by side. And how there's a little bit of contact, but they managed to both survive, and Sabino's now to P4 at this race.
Yeah, they made a little bit of contact. It was good defense from Calvin, but then he tried to squeeze Sabino out just a little bit too much. Sabino wasn't having any of it, and he let him know that he couldn't force him off like that. So Sabino, the championship leader, moving up into 4th position, and I don't think that's enough to win the championship here today, but he can still do it. He can win the championship and be clear of Nuffle, who's only on 1 point right now. He's got Kieran just up ahead of him, who's actually had a pretty decent start in that Ferrari. He's moved up into 9th, as Ricciardo TTV, whilst we weren't watching, he's found himself in 11th position. He's probably one of the quickest drivers on track right now, and he's not even too far off of Paulus right now, who now has 2 seconds almost to Stumpy. Has Stumpy got damage? Like, what's going wrong with him? The front wing looks intact.
Ooh. Bosnian and Mary going side by side. Bosnia was literally just losing the car, but he manages to keep it on track. Ooh, and Mary gets through here. But yeah, Stumpy's losing a lot of time. It doesn't look like he has damage. Obviously we have to see if he has.
We've just lost the Toro Rosso of Xavier, as Kieran and Nuffle going side by side. It's Nuffle making the move stick, coming out of the DRS straight. Pretty easy move from the McLaren driver. Kieran's going to drop into 10th position, and now one of the championship contenders hunting down Philippe and Storm, who are up ahead of him. But there's a pretty decent gap between those two, so it's going to be a little while before we see a fight between them, as the fight for 3rd really is beginning to heat up. Calvin's lost out to to Sabino right now. Invisible could find himself thrusted into P5 very shortly. Calvin not looking to be too quick right now.
Yeah, actually, Sabino's looking like he has very good pace now. He's just at the back of J. Luke, same as Invisible. Otherwise, power is just gone, completely gone. And I was taking a look at how Stumpy is driving. It doesn't look like he has damage. I just think his pole just is completely fast today.
Well, Luke running out very wide of the final corner. He might have gotten a warning for that. Speaking of penalties, though, Nuffle ended up taking a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings there. I think that Sabino is close enough to make a move on J. Luke out of the DRS straight. They're going to come through this right-handed corner now to open DRS for the Toro Rosso. He's going to use up all the ERS he can. He's in overtake mode, as now he ducks to the inside of the Mercedes driver. Pretty easy move up the inside. Can J. Luke fight it around the outside? Yes, he can. He's going to hold him there, and he's actually defended that position there, but Sabino maybe trying to make a switchback work. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Stumpy's got around, or someone's got around, because there's yellow flags, and I think, oh, it's Mike. I thought Stumpy went around, but it's actually the racing point of Mike. If we can maybe try and find someone who's passing by, if we can see Jordan, I think his car's gone. So the first casualty here today, it's Mike out of the Grand Prix. He's gonna be hitting the showers early. We're on lap 6 of 31. Still a long way to go in this race.
Now J. Luke is really beginning to make a huge train. Looks like he's struggling a lot for pace. as he already is 3.4 seconds behind Stumpy now.
Looks like Stumpy and Paulus both running their own races. They're just taking it easy, not pushing too hard, but J-Luke's going to have to fight for all his life here because he's actually got a better exit than Sabino out of the final corner, but that DRS is going to bring him right back into it, coming through at turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3. It's actually probably one of my favourite complexes of corners once you nail it. It feels really good, but this could be a carbon copy of what we saw before. J-Luke not with DRS on Stumpy, he's not within the second, but Sabino is. He's going to be a little bit further back than he was before, but he's still going to maybe try to dive down the inside. No, he thinks better of it. It's a long race. You don't want to make too many moves. Nuffle moving up ahead of Philippe. He really can't afford to kick back. He has to get as many positions as he can to make his Brazil race all that bit easier.
Definitely, and Ricciardo's already on the back of Kieran. He's really got some great pace, Ricciardo.
Oh, Bosnia's out of the Grand Prix. We'll try see from the virtual safety car. Oh.
Yeah, I think he just lost it on the big curve. I'm just gonna go with Xavi. And yeah, he just hit the curve and very unfortunate.
That's unlucky for him, as gives Luke a little bit of time to breathe. He's not going to be feeling the pressure from Sabino as much. So 2 drivers out in successive laps. Drivers beginning to maybe crack under the pressure of driving at Singapore. Probably the toughest on the calendar. I'd actually say Baku is the hardest track to run in Singapore, then Monaco.
I would actually say, yeah, Baku and Monaco. I don't know what track of these two is the hardest, but I find Singapore, the easiest of the 3 street circuits. But of course, that's people have their own opinion. Ooh, and Calvin actually, Invisible does contact. Invisible is round.
Oh dear.
But you have to be careful so he doesn't get disqualified.
Yeah, you can get disqualified for blocking the pit lane, but Invisible was looking pretty strong. He was on the back of the train for 3rd, and whilst we weren't looking, Stumpy has come into the pit lane. He's fitted the hards, so is Ricciardo TTV, so they're going to be going to the end on the white wall tyres. And let's have a little, we'll read through the comments right now. Can we get the tyres are up? Can you hide UI please? Yes. Got some Paulus fans here today. Lars Vanden Heuvel. I'm trying not to cough. I've very sorry. I've been talking too much.
And still, J-Luke is really holding these guys up. They can't get through him. Sabino's, he's trying to make a move every time, but J-Luke is defending very, very well, and that's just helping Paulus for every lap. Like, now he's 7.4 seconds in front of these guys, so he got some incredible speed today.
Absolutely. I think the gap was pretty large already, but it just wasn't really shown because of Stumpy being there. Calvin pulls into pit lane. He's going to fit the medium tyres. We begin lap number 9. We're going to start to see more and more pit stops coming out. Maverick probably could have pitted, and he probably would actually started outside of the top 10, so he can go a little bit longer. And he's also on the hard. I did not notice that he started on the hard tyres. Kieran finds a way past Philippe there. He's up into 6th position, which they will lose once they pit later, and then they've got the newly running hard tyres behind them. I didn't realise my mic was on mute there. Kieran's found a way past Philippe N in the Haas. Meanwhile, the gap is now 8.2 seconds between J. Luke and Paulus as Sabino tries to make a move. He really wants to get a move on here because he probably feels that if he gets past the Mercedes car, that he can track down Paulus. It's going to be a tough job, but he certainly thinks it's doable, as J. Luke really is holding up the Toro Rosso driver here.
Yeah, and Sabino also needs to think of the championship. He can't take too many risks. He just has to take it easy and steady and just hope for the best, because a P3 for him right now will still make the gap bigger for Nuffle.
Well, the top three all coming into the pit lane. This could be key for Sabino if he can find a way past the Mercedes car of J. Luke. Paulus also coming to the pits. He's the race leader, and he's going to come out just behind Philippe and Invisible. He's actually come out ahead of Invisible here, which is a shame because he's come up behind him.
Stumpy is just behind him now.
Oh wow. So the massive undercut that Stumpy had, and he's just gonna get a 3-second time penalty for multiple.
Like when he's actually gonna go down the inside now, Stumpy, and he gets done. He's up to P7 now and actually the lead of the race. So the undercut is very, very huge here. You can see he gained what, about 3 seconds or 2 seconds, I can't remember, on Paulus. But Paulus is on the Fraser tire, so will he use them to try to get through again? Because obviously he has the speed, and same as Calvin going through now. Max P10.
So that was the fight for the provisional lead between Stumpy and Paulus. Paulus now in second. That is net second position after all the drivers ahead of them have to pit. I think realistically for the time being we're only going to see Philippe, Storm and Invisible come in soon. As oh no! Invisible's just oh no, he's actually retired. And the virtual safety car is out, and that has helped Storm a treat because now he can pit whilst everyone else is going slow. I just caught that Invisible went into the back of Maverick. He was a bit too hot on the brakes, and that has ended his day as he got put in the wall. Is now where's Storm gonna come out? Philippe also putting into the pit lane. He's come on behind Stumpy and Paulus, but I think he's gonna be ahead of Calvin, isn't he? It's gonna be close actually. No, he's not, but he's right on the rear of them, and he is ahead of Sabino. He's jumped Sabino, opportunity spotter, really,
wow.
Isn't he?
Yeah, that's some. I didn't see that coming. That Sabino lost so much time in the pit lane. I don't know what has happened for him.
So that's gonna help Luke because he's got a car between him and Sabino. If he can hold off Storm for the time being, he's still got Calvin ahead of him though, so he actually lost out to the Renault driver. So really the undercut is what you want to do. It's so strong, isn't it?
It is, like you can gain over 2 and DJ Wisdom spinning. But yeah, you can gain over 2 seconds we saw from what Stumpy did. So we see some people trying to do 2 stops. I doubt some people would do it, but you never know.
Jordan on the old hard tyres holding up Calvin. Calvin's going to look to the outside through the chicane. He can't get the move done. This is losing him so much time to the 2 net race leaders, and Luke is going to go around the outside. He's actually found a way through, I think. No, he can't.
How they didn't make contact there, I'm surprised.
That's allowed for Sabino to get right on the rear of those guys. He was about 1.4 seconds back, but those 2 fighting really stacked them up, and now the Toro Rosso driver has entered the fight for P3. Jordan's still holding up this train, but I think under DRS we could maybe see 3 wide action. That would be lovely. As now coming up through the straight. Calvin gonna look to the outside. J-Luke's not gonna try and make a move stick on Calvin as well. Jordan's been spun and Storm's got caught up. Oh no, that has to be a safety car.
He's right at the track. It should be a safety car.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. I think we're gonna be... What? We're still green flag racing. Jordan's now out of the Grand Prix.
He is just in the middle of the track.
That's ridiculous. I think the successive VSCs that we had really didn't help, and the game just decided, no, we're going to keep racing when they really shouldn't. That is criminal. From the FIA and race control, but I guess we'll move on from that. Jordan now out of the Grand Prix. His race was swiftly ended by I think it was Calvin not leaving him enough room, or it was J-Luke hitting him.
I think it was Calvin. I think they just hit each other when they were trying to go side by side. A very unfortunate action. And DJ Winston retires from the session. And he's also retires. Ooh, and
another virtual safety car. Let's say a real safety car. Come on.
Yeah. Like, what are you even using a virtual safety car for?
In the middle of the track, once again, there's... it's ridiculous, but... we got two drivers currently on their first stint still, Nuffle and Kieran. When do you think they're going to pull into the pits and take off those hard tyres? Because I think that maybe they'll come in lap 20 or 21, as now the green flag flies once again. Stumpy and Paulus are going to get underway once again. Paulus has found himself right on the rear wing of the Red Bull driver through the Anderson Bridge, not where you want to be overtaking, to this short straight now, which you can make a move stick if you're close enough. No DRS assistance through here, coming up to the second sector split, entering the third sector. Tough corner to get right. You can actually at those white lines you can get a track extension even if there's no real for all we know they could just be street lines, but they're treated as track limits here. As through the third sector they come. We'll move on from the streets of talking about the streets of Singapore, and we'll get talking about the racing once again. I think Paulus, he could maybe size up a move soon on this next lap. On lap 15 we're coming up to the halfway point of the Grand Prix. Not into turn number 1, but he's still right on the rear of the Red Bull. It's Ferrari against Red Bull power, and actually Stumpy's going to let him through.
That's maybe a smart move, so he can get your ass here and get packed.
So yeah, that's giving him the DRS on Paulus. Paulus now is going to have to defend, but he might still hold him here. No, he's going to look to the outside. Stumpy on the right. Oh, they make a little bit of contact, forcing him off the track ever so slightly. But Stumpy, yes, he's made that work, and he's maintained net P1. Meanwhile, Calvin and Luke running side by side. This is the battle for a net P3. Luke on the outside. He could maybe be forced off here. They make a little bit of contact, but still they come down into the former Singapore sling. It's Luke, J-Luke moving ahead of Calvin. Sabino got the best seat in the house. He's watching behind those two up the Anderson Bridge. Will Calvin send a move into the hairpin? No, he won't. That was a pretty nice battle that we saw there.
It was, and I'm surprised that nobody is, like, there is contact, but come on, we in a street circuit, of course there's contact when you go side by side. But respectfully, the old drivers are giving a good room to each other, so it's great to see.
Absolutely, Calvin still wants to get a move on. He's trying to find a way through at the chicane, but he's not going to make any find any avenue through on J-Luke. I think he's a part of Apex Racing team, which is primarily GT Sport, but he's in the F1 side of things. He's actually lost out, has Calvin, to the Mercedes driver, as Sabino looks really close on the back of the Renault driver in 6th, 7th position, provision, which is a net P5, I think. Yeah, net P5 in the fight for a net P3.
Oh, Polish! Oh, he just saved that. Yeah, he was so close to losing out of the exit of the corner, but he managed to survive it. But now he's over the second, behind Stumpy.
Yeah, now he's miles back from the Red Bull driver. I didn't quite see the accident or him losing the car, but he's already making some inroads on the Red Bull driver. He's 1.6 seconds back. He's actually losing a bit of time on exit there. He doesn't look like he's got any damage on that Alfa Romeo. Is now up the Anderson bridge. He's he's dropped 1.5 seconds when he was about 2 seconds in the lead before the pit stops came out. So that's very unfortunate for him, and he's losing the car out of the hairpin as well. Paulus is beginning to struggle now, isn't he?
He definitely is. He's getting the pressure down now from Stumpy. Now Stumpy just had the free, and he can chill now and just take it easy. Don't get penalties. I think you don't want to get here at the track.
Absolutely, plenty of opportunities to get penalties around the track. You have to be so careful. It's not like I'm trying to think of a track where you can't really get penalties. It's not really like Austria where you can just drive normally and drive as aggressive as you want and get away with no warnings. I think that no, Calvin's got a really bad exit out the final corner again. That seems to be a trend for him. He seems to be pretty slow through the high-speed corners, which is where J-Luke excels. But now there's yellow flags through sector 3. I think that might be Max. Max in the wall, and he's lost his front wing. He's going to have to box for repairs. He can maybe... Oh, he's now out of the race.
And another Rachel safety car.
It's about our third one this race.
I was just thinking on one thing. Nuffle and Kieran, they're still out. They haven't pitted yet. They're going to lose so much time. Stumpy's only 5 seconds behind them, so they got to jump way down the field when they're going to pit.
Absolutely. Storm has come into the pits using the virtual safety car. They're fitting the medium tyres to go to the end. It's going to be a pretty tough job, but considering that they're completely fresh, I think they can make it work. As I actually just want to comment that Nuffle and Kieran, with all these virtual safety cars, they're both able to save their tyres and they can run longer into this race and have fresher mediums to the end, and they really don't lose any time. As now we are green flag racing under once again. Calvin still following right behind J-Luke in the Renault car. Well, we're going on board with him, looking at the cockpit. You can see how careful he's being with the steering as through the chicane, one of the trickiest parts of the track. He really can abuse that curve. That was running a little bit deep on the brake. That was pretty aggressive from him there. As we'll see, maybe if he loses more time through that final corner where he seems to be struggling pretty much all the time. He might be running less wings than J-Luke, which is going to hamper him. As actually he doesn't lose too much time, as through all of that, Stumpy has found himself losing a lot of time to Paulus. I don't quite know what happened on the exit there, but Paulus now with DRS on Stumpy. Can he get the move done? He looks pretty far back, seems to have got a worse exit, but now with that letterbox at the back of his rear wing, he's going to maybe look to the inside. No, he won't. He's still purple through the first sector, so he's really showing that he's still the quickest car on track despite his mistake earlier.
He's really fun to beat. He's gaining over like, let's say 1.5 seconds on Stumpy, so he really got the pace right now, Polish.
Absolutely, he's brought that gap down to 3/10, and he's actually just picked up a 3-second time penalty, which I believe Stumpy also has, so now they're pretty much level. Ooh. Calvin did he get wing damage from that? He pretty much clattered into the sides of the hairpin wall, as now Sabino is right on his tail. He's lost a lot of time to J-Luke, who's provisionally in P3 after Kieran and Nuffle come into the pit lane to change their tyres. A mandatory pit stop that you have to make. And yeah, once again they're really competitive. I'll give it to them. They really want those positions, and they're gonna do anything they can for them. Is now coming out of the final corner to start lap 18. It's Stumpy and Paulus once again fighting for the net lead of the Grand Prix. Stumpy might try and let Paulus through. No, he's not. So he's just gonna hope that Paulus can't get the move done with the DRS. Is now through the straight they come. No, Paulus is going to be too far back. Stumpy really knows when the car behind him is not close enough to make the move stick. Stumpy's actually going to catch up to Kieran and then eventually get DRS on him. So maybe he's just trying to hold up, trying to catch up to Kieran as much as he can. As now Storm sets the fastest lap of the race on fresh medium tyres. It's going to be tough for him to get to the end. He can make it work though.
And it actually looks like I just got on board with Paulus when he was trying to overtake. He's not using overtaking ERS, so he's not looking like he's trying to make a move on Stumpy. Maybe just sitting behind, saving some ERS and then trying to just make the moves at the last couple of laps.
Absolutely, at the halfway point you cannot win the race from here, but you can certainly lose it. So he's just gonna bide his time and be as careful as he can, maybe trying to force Stumpy into a mistake but not trying to take the lead just now. As now Kieran and Nuffle are going to come into the pit lane. They're going to take off those hard tyres and go to the end on a set of mediums, so that releases Stumpy and Paulus into the lead where they were before. As now Stumpy's he's trying to let Paulus through to get DRS. Paulus was not having any of it, and now he just backed up right into the Alfa Romeo. So I think Paulus might go for the move now. He's open DRS coming through the short little kink on this straight. Can he dive down the inside? No, he's not. Stumpy holds on to the lead, locking up through the left-hander there. On exit of the pit lane, I presume Nuffle took a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Unlucky from him, I guess. Because he's going to be one of the quickest cars on track, if not the quickest driver on track, I'd have it to say.
Yes, but he really has to fight his way through. You can see from Felipe to Sabine, there's 10 seconds. So he really has to drive so quick if you want to catch the top 5 guys.
Absolutely, with about 11 or 10 laps left in this Grand Prix, it's going to be a tough feat. He's going to have to make up about probably 1.5 seconds a lap if he wants to fight to find Sibinho. It's going to be tough. Certainly is doable, though. He's looking at the back of Ricciardo TTV, and you'd have it to think that it's going to be an easy move. He's going to look to the inside. Why is he making a move through there? He's so impatient to get past the Williams driver. The Williams having none of it, and you can see he's banging on the diffuser, on the ERS light. Is now up the final corner. This could be bad. Oh no!
Oh, that's big contact. Yeah, that was a little bit harsh move. I don't think he should make the move there. I just think he should wait for the DRS actually and get through there. No need to panic that much. Still 11 laps to go.
It looked like, I was on board with Nuffle, that it looked like he just turned out on Ricciardo. I'm going to stay impartial and I'm not going to accuse him of anything, but that didn't look the nicest of things to do. And look at this. Look at how J-Luke has caught up to the leaders.
Oh, yeah.
We could have a 5-man fight for the lead in the dying laps of this Grand Prix. Wow, J-Luke right behind Paulus. How has he caught up this much?
Just taking a look at the penalties, and actually J-Luke and Sibinho doesn't have a penalty, so they're in prime position right now if they just can keep up with these guys.
Oh, the virtual safety car's out for the 4th time this Grand Prix.
That's invisible.
I don't know who that's for. I think it might be for invisible.
Invisible. race, right? Completely lost his front wing.
Nuffle's got a drive-through penalty
Oh, that's not great.
for speeding under the VSC. That has ruined his race completely there. So has Storm. Storm has also got a drive-through penalty. These guys are... I don't know what's happening with their deltas, or if they're just speeding and not slowing down in time, but 2 drive-through penalties.
And 2? Yeah.
What? How has Nuffle got a second drive-through penalty? I'm going to check on the race director if that actually shows up as 2 or just 1. 2 penalties and all. I don't know what's happened there. Well, we're underway once again. DRS is enabled, and Paulus could maybe send one round the outside of Stumpy. Yes, he is, to the right-hand side. Stumpy's going to hold it, though, as J-Luke going to look to the outside on the left. Oh, that could be rad. Oh, no. No.
Yeah, and J-Luke lost his front wing.
And Sabino takes a penalty. Oh, no. So he's going to have to pit. And, oh, Storm's that is just the icing on the cake for Storm. He's got a 5-second time penalty trying to serve his drive-through. That is so unlucky for him, as he's actually gone onto the softs. I think he's gonna set the fastest lap, then pit again and just try and improve on that. Whoops, Right,
that's Nuffle. I guess Nuffle's out of the race. Lost the front wing again. Continuing on though, but when he has to first pit to do the driver, and then he has to do an entire lap with no front wing. So he's gonna be.
He's in the wall. He's out.
Yeah, he's in the wall.
Oh,
he's out of the race.
That could be his championship over. Sabino has just overtaken Calvin. Trying to do the maths in my head. He's 6 points clear of Nuffle right now with Sabino, so if he gains 15 from this race, that means he'll be 23 points. So if Nuffle will have to win the next race if it stays how it is, and then Sabino can only be 10th or below. Wow. So I think Nuffle can kiss that championship goodbye. I think Sabino might have it, but anything can happen in Formula 1. It's happened before, I'm sure, I guess. As Nuffle's left the session. Unfortunate for him, his championship pretty much gone now. Sparholt wants you to check your DMs, Matty. As Paulus is out of the race!
Paulus! I didn't even see that. Oh my god.
I was reading the chat. Oh my word! I'm gonna watch that on the stream. I was on board with him.
What happened there? He just...
I'm trying to watch that on the... trying to watch it back on the stream. Hang on. So I went on board with Paulus. Oh, he hit the at turn 10. He hit the inside wall.
Oh, that's so fortunate.
No, that's so unlucky for him. I feel so bad. If anyone doesn't know, it's the corner that I think Invisible's just coming up to now, formerly known as the Singapore Sting. He hit the inside wall there, and then he front tyre came off. So a lot of drivers out of this race. Paulus being the latest casualty, and that could have gifted Stumpy the win. But now, if Sabino's in second, he's won the championship. Nuffle can't do anything.
Certainly is, and Sabino just had to, take his head down, because right now he's got a very good gap to Nuffle in the championship. I guess he can win it tonight. It's gonna be very interesting.
We've still got a good few laps left in this Grand Prix. It's not over until it's over. We've got about 7 or 8 laps left. So we're going to be here for a little bit longer. Invisible sets the fastest lap of the race. There seems to be not many battles on track except for Kieran finding Philippe right now. Kieran's had a very strong race actually. He made the alternate strategy work, as now on those fresh medium tyres he's going to have so much more grip than Philippe. Is he going to send one up the inside into the third sector? No, he will not, but he's still right on the rear. It's Ferrari power against Ferrari powers. Now, is he going to send one around the outside? They make a little bit of contact. He might have chipped off just a little bit of front wing there from the Ferrari. Seems to have kept it all okay on the front wing side, but they are getting aggressive here for fourth position. A lot of points actually on offer here.
Yeah, when Calvin goes into the pit lane, it's an interesting move for him.
I don't know what he's doing. Is he changing his wing? He's getting a new wing.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, so he might have hit it somewhere. As Kieran now thrusted into third position.
And
let's just have a look.
Ricciardo's P5 at this race. He was completely lost at the start of the race. Now he's up to P5. Very, very good comeback race from him.
Seem to have made his strategy work. I'm just looking at the positions gained from drivers. Kieran is the biggest mover out. Actually, Xavier has found himself up 10 positions just by not crashing. He is in the race. He's just not crashed, and he's found himself in 9th. So good from him, I guess. But Kieran up 8 positions. Philippe is up 5. So is Sabino. Very strong race from him. I'd probably give him my driver of the day. We're gonna have podium interviews after the race is over. So provisionally that's gonna be Stumpy, Sabino, and Kieran joining us if everything stays as it is.
Yeah, she's been. Now Stumpy has the 3-second gap. Will you win 2 races in a row? That's gonna be insane if you can that.
Now Storm retires in the pit lane. We're left with 10 runners, and there's no battles on track right now, so I don't really know what to do. I'll just read out the chat, I guess. Sabino needs to be P1. He's 6 points ahead right now. If he's 6 points ahead, then he scores 18. That's going to be a gap of 24 points. He does need to be P1. My maths was wrong, as Xavier has spun, or he's coming to the pit lane. He spun out at the Singapore Sling. Reckless gets ahead of him. Bad race from Reckless, isn't it? He couldn't make the comeback work like Ricciardo did, could he?
No, he definitely couldn't, but yeah, he had damage as well. He had to work on that. But yeah, very unfortunate race, very lonely race for him.
Really is a test of endurance, isn't it, driving at Singapore, because there's so many laps, but the laps are so long.
Yeah, and you know, with these D2 drivers, of course they're not the D1 level, so they're struggling a lot of these tracks where you can see you know, half of the grid has retired, just showing how stressful this track is for some people to drive in.
Absolutely. I just caught there Reckless doing his best Tokyo Drift impression. He spun he did a half spin out of the final corner. That was a nice little save that he did there. But yeah, it was just trying to see how everything ended up in Tier 1 with finishes and such. There was, how many finishes were there?
I'm just gonna take a look.
In Tier 1 there were 12 finishes, and there's 10 provisionally right now. Xavier's coming to the pit lane, probably gonna fit softs.
And Calvin's gone.
Now we've got 9 finishes. Can we see a late safety car? That'd be pretty interesting if we could, but I don't think so.
The game doesn't want to give us. Even though we have 3 now retirement on track, we're still not getting that safety car. I don't know what's going on with the FIA today. Yeah, they don't want to give the safety car, maybe.
I've just seen in the chat, can you at least show that one battle between Calvin and J. Luke? So much for that. Well,
And then that's gone.
don't think we can really show that battle. Sorry. Sorry, mate. I didn't notice that. Oh, look at fastest lap. Who's gonna get the extra point? I think it's Reckless, who is the fastest lap of the drivers who are still racing, but Xavier's gonna probably be a candidate for fastest lap, considering he's on the softs.
If he can set a good lap in, he definitely trying to get it. The fastest lap, but we have to see.
Trying to see if I can find anyone that might do anything interesting. I think
I think actually Ricciardo is closing. Yeah, he's closing the gap on Felipe right now. Felipe has done a great race. He has been. I haven't even seen this race. He's been very ghosted. And somehow he's P4 the race.
Yeah, he's not really been on the stream much today. He's not got much camera time. He's a bit like Carlos Sainz in real life. You know, he makes up positions, but he never gets shown to do any of it. But yeah, he seems to be losing a bit of time to Ricciardo with only 4 or 5 laps left in this Grand Prix. I don't think he can catch Ricciardo quite so easily. 2 Mercedes drivers, 6th and 7th right now. I'll have a little look at constructors. I think McLaren have won the constructors regardless of what happens, but that's what I'll see. I'll have a look in Division 2 chat, and I'll have a look at the standings in just one moment. So yeah, in terms of constructors, McLaren leading it, but they've had a pretty bad race here today. Toro Rosso, on the other hand, have had a decent one. They're going to finish in 2nd and 9th if it all stays the way it is. So McLaren have not won it. They're not out of the water right now. Of course, I don't know if the Toro Rosso's points from Xavier count because he's filling in for, I think, Civi? Yeah.
Yes.
Even so, pretty much all of Toro Rosso's points have come from Sabino. The 92 points in the constructors for McLaren. 91 of those are Sabino's. So yeah, he's really carrying the team by himself.
Definitely is.
One thing interesting about Sabino's season is that he's finished on the podium in every race so far, because we've only done 5 races. Those were Bahrain, Spain, Germany, Britain and Italy, and then we've got Singapore here today. Then next week there's going to be the final race in Brazil, and then we're going to move on to F1 2020, which is crazy to think about. We've been playing this game for a year now.
It is, and you know, this game has been upside down sometimes. You know, the start and the middle. I've loved the game, but you know, now you just want to get the new game. Now you're just beginning to hate this game a little bit more.
Absolutely. I really don't like this game anymore. I've refused to play it for the past couple of days. I've just been playing Gran Turismo all the time. We're looking back at this fight for P4. Well, it's not really a fight yet, but it could develop into something because Ricciardo is catching Felipe right now. I don't know their penalty situation right now, and if it's supposed to be Ricciardo and not Ricciardo, but it should be Ricciardo, because yeah, I have no clue. Ricciardo. That's not what's important right now. He's closing in on Felipe for P4, but with only 3 laps left in the race, I don't know if he can catch up and make a move stick on him. But He's still pulling up towards him. Let's have a look at their ERS situations. Both pretty similar. They've not got much to play with at all.
Yeah, now Invisible pitting here. He's going for the fastest lap just to end. Why not? He can catch the car in front, and he's not gonna lose any time on it, or position. So yeah, why not just get an extra point in?
Yeah, he wasn't going to catch up to his teammate. We could see a nice little battle develop between these two, because he's lost out to Reckless, but he's going to instantly make that up with the better grip. He's 2.6 back from Reckless. We'll see how much that comes down by at the end of the first sector. Just follow along with the Mercedes car. Pretty light braking into that right-handed corner. The race is almost over. We've been here for a long time. Just let me know if you're watching in the chat, and I'll say in our Paulus leaves the session. So unlucky for him. He was probably going to win this race.
Definitely was. I was just looking at chat what he was saying, and yeah, he just made a mistake on his own, and you know, he's frustrated with it, and he's, you know, I know the feeling when you really know you can win the race, and then you make one mistake and you lose the entire race. It's so frustrating, and yeah.
Absolutely, the littlest of things can really unravel everything for you. I'm speaking from personal experience. I've had my own incidences in the past where my race has really been turned over, but it's just such a horrible feeling, isn't it?
It definitely, yeah, it is. I've tried it sometimes as well. It is very, very frustrating thing, but you just have to, you know, you can take some positive things out of it, but you actually have the pace. You just have to work on not making that mistakes, so Paulus can take that with him for the last race of the season, and he has the pace. Just have to focus on not making these mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You can definitely take positives out of it, but we'll move on from that for now, as actually Reckless is just going to let Invisible go by. He's not going to fight with him unless he's using Slipstream, but you can even see just how much more pace the DRS gives you into turn number 6, I think. Actually, he can't make it stick, so Invisible moves up ahead of Reckless. I was hoping that we could see a nice little fight develop between those two, but in terms of leader, Stumpy has begun at the final lap of the race. Sabino really cannot catch him at this point. He's just got to chill out and then take the P2, not make any mistakes, because he can't secure it now. But I even think on countback, the two championship rivals, if they were to end on the same amount of points, let's say that Sabino gets second and then it's 24 points between them, and then they end up on the same amount of points. No, yeah, I think Nuffle can still win this championship on countback if Sabino gets P10 in the next race.
Yeah, and Stumpy is coming out of the last corner for the final time of the race. A great race he's done from start to finish, even though Paulus, I would say, have the better pace of these two. But yeah, he has been the more consistent of these two guys, and now he's coming down, and I'm not gonna jinx him, but he's gonna come on and take his second win in his second race. So 2 races in a row and 2 wins now. So great stop by Stumpy here. Sabino in second place. Very good for his championship to build the gap bigger. Kieran coming in P3. What a race from him. And we have Felipe, also a great race from him. I haven't seen Felipe that high up the field in a long time. So great race by him. And Ricardo coming down. He's actually jumping here on penalties. And J. Luke in P6. You know, got a big out to Invisible, Reckless, and Xavier coming down now. He has been lapped. Come down. He's taking his first point of the season. I'm sure he will be happy with that.
Well, that's the end of what was a long race. We've just got Invisible and Reckless to cross the line next. Unfortunate for both of them, especially for Reckless, considering his race was really ruined from his own turn 1 mistake. He could have had the pace, but we'll never know. Because he was at the back for most of it, especially for Invisible. That marks him out of the championship. He cannot win it anymore. So who is going to win it next week? Is it going to be Nuffle or is it going to be Sibinho? I'll invite the podium finishers into the party. I'll actually need their exact names in a moment. I haven't got them on my friends list, which is unfortunate. I really should have friended them before the race. You're the party leader, so you're... I think, yeah. Oh, okay. I thought I was the leader. So, whilst we wait for all of them to come into the party, we're just going to quickly run through the provisional order. It's Stumpy winning the Grand Prix, second is Sibinho, third is Kieran, then it's fourth for Ricciardo. He actually got passed on a penalty basis on Philippe, who finishes in fifth, then it's Luke in sixth, seventh for Invisible, then eighth for Reckless, and the last of the finishing drivers, Xavier, is in ninth, and then we got the rest of the drivers who DNF'd. I'm not going to bother to read all of their names out, but you can read that if you want. We've got two drivers in
we actually have all of them in now.
We got all of them, so I guess... Hello. I guess we'll start with Kieran. So you started in what position? You started in 11th. Did you really think you could get a podium here today?
No. Looking at my start was horrific. On the hard tyres felt so bad. Not getting any pace on them.
And in terms of your fight with Nuffle, did you feel that you had the pace to catch up to him at all in the race?
Before the VSC happened, yes. After that, he went, so I couldn't catch up to him anymore. So I thought that pushing went.
No, it was unlucky for him that he DNF'd in the end. But congratulations on your results. If Matty, if you have any questions for him, shoot.
No, I think you did a great there. Alright, so we move on to Sibinho now. So Sibinho, your qualifying wasn't the best. I believe, yeah, you were P7.
Yeah.
Did you just mess up your medium time, so
yeah,
did you just not have the pace?
I don't think I had the pace, to be honest. I have to be honest, of course. The hard tires were not feeling good in quality, so I went onto the mediums, but I only did like one run on them, so not the best lap, and I got P7, so that wasn't too good.
Yeah, and in the race, were you were just driving like took it easy, you know? Were you just taking it easy, or were you actually trying to push, you know, to get the higher position?
Exactly, I was just staying behind. Like, I saw the guys in front were all battling, so I was just staying behind, and I must say I got pretty lucky as well, so I have to admit. And I got P2 in the end, so keeping up my record of podiums in every race so far, so pretty good.
And yeah, P2 is great, and now you have a very good gap to Nuffle. So
yeah.
Do you have any strategies you want to do in Brazil, or have you figured out about that yet?
I'm just gonna try my best to finish as high as possible, trying to finish the season on a high. So, and I think we might be quite lucky that Stumpy wasn't here from the beginning, because he's pretty damn fast. Very fast guy. GG again to Stumpy, very good pace, and that's it.
Alright, well, congrats with your second place, and
thank you.
And you've got one hand on the championship coming into Brazil. How confident on a scale of 1 to 10 are you that you'll win the championship?
I think I'm on a 7. I think if I get P7, I'm sure that I win the title. So that must be possible. So yeah, I'm quite confident.
Well, congratulations on your podium streak, and keep it
Thank
up
you
in the
very much.
final race. We'll move on to the
Thank you.
race winner. It's 2 on the trot for Stumpy. Are you confident that you can win a third in a row at Brazil?
No. No, I'm not.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, I joined in like a part of your season where the two tracks really suit my style, but Brazil, I don't think I'll have as much speed. Hopefully, I'll still be in the mix though.
Well, I certainly think you can, and if you were here from the start, do you think you would be in the championship fight?
I've raced with Sabinho a few times in Ricky's lobby sometimes, and we've had similar pace and had some good battles. So I think, yeah, maybe I could have
Yeah,
be up
I
there at
think so.
least.
Well,
think
you've
so
been really strong in the 2 races that you've done. You've won both of them. So, if Matty, you have any questions for him, go ahead.
I have nothing actually. Just want to say, yeah, you've really been very, very great to watch. Yeah, the last 2 races you have done. So again, congratulations with your P1 position, and let's see where you're gonna finish in the last race in Brazil.
Yes, thank you, mate. Looking forward to it.
Alright, well, that marks the end of the interview section and the end of the stream. Thank you all for watching here today and bearing with my my coughing fits throughout the race, but I hope you've enjoyed. Join us next time on the Intelligence Racing League YouTube channel for the final race of the season in Brazil. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.